Hey, what's up, mortals? It's Near here, with a new video for you. Welcome to Season 1, Part 1, If What If Deku Had a Dino Quirk? I just wanted to greet you guys by saying, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. So, we begin. Quirks. Quirks are strange things in our world. Some grant you the smallest of abilities. Others can level cities, crush mountains, drain seas. Some, however, change how you are physically, and by proxy, modify your mentality. Enter one Izuku Midoriya, with teeth as sharp as razor blades, clawed hands and feet that could only belong to an apex predator, a long reptilian tail, a large sail along his back, eyes that are beyond perfect for hunting, small patches of defensive scales, and physically, his body was twice the size of anyone his age. The prehistoric teen didn't just have the bodily features of a creature from a time almost long forgotten, but he had the personality to boot too. Easy to anger, after any slight towards the scaled greenette, or anyone he deemed to be a part of his pack. However, there is a feature to the young Midoriya's quirk that he is able to access only when in the deepest levels of rage. Prehistoric transformation, allowing the boy to grow even larger in size and become a Spinosaurus. Granted, this ability of Midoriya's quirk isn't ideal, as when he activates it, it tends to destroy most of what the team was wearing at the time, which can be rather embarrassing when you transform back. Luckily, Izuku isn't some mindless dinosaur when in this form. He still carries the same intellect he has in his semi-human form, so 8 times out of 10, he remembers to go somewhere private to avoid indecent exposure. Growing up, the prehistoric pubescent never really had many friends. In fact, all through his life so far, people gave him a wide berth. All except one boy, who'd known Izuku since preschool, Katsuki Bakugo. The explosive ash blonde initially viewed the solitary powerhouse as the perfect target for a rival. But the dinosaur did not concern itself with such petty matters. The Jurassic quirk wielder was coming into the personality of his Spinosaurus half more and more as he got older. This meant Midoriya only really cared for 3 things at the moment: food, sleeping, and threats to his perceived territory. In terms of threats, Izuku believed that there were none, so he only cared to state his massive appetite for fish or raw meats and sleeping when he could. This only infuriated the ash blonde more so, as he began to realize the challenge wouldn't even be fighting the Spinosaurus quirk user, but getting his attention in the first place. Then again, Bakugo felt the light bulb go off in his head. He didn't just want a challenge, he wanted a challenge that'd push him to go beyond. Sure, getting the attention and maybe fighting Midoriya could be a challenge, but something even tougher? Getting recognized not as a threat by the Dino Teen, but as someone who could join the usually solitary fish eater's pack. Maybe even push him out of his shell a bit. Yeah, that'd be a real challenge. And given the temperament of Izuku, they'd fight each other anyway, but still be thick as thieves afterwards. Besides being tested for alpha dog or dino status by someone with a quirk like Izuku's, it sounds like something worthy of Bakugo. Naturally, the first few weeks of middle school were tough. But the stronger Bakugo's explosions got, the more he annoyed Midoriya. He was not only demonstrating himself to be a threat to the large dinosaur-like teen's alpha status, when it came to who was the number 1 of the school, but his stupid loud explosions and shouting made it difficult to nap. The explosive teen was quick to catch on to Midoriya's irritation and up the ante, going further and further. You, boom boy, I don't want to hear another sizzle from your annoying-ass quirk. And if I hear any more bragging or shouting from that loud mouth of yours, I'll remind you of your place in the food chain of this school. Got it? The green-haired teen practically roared in the middle of the school cafeteria, his sharp teeth bared, finalizing his point by snapping the head off a fish from his plate with his bare hands. But please, if you want me to put you through the wall, then by all means continue, you sweaty excuse for a grenade. Bakugo grinned and got up from his own table and looked up at the towering humanoid reptilian, who sat alone as he always did, for none were brave enough or deemed worthy enough to sit with the school's apex predator. Bakugo could hear the snarling from Midoriya as he approached closer and closer. He watched as his desired rival thrashed his tail in fury. This video is sponsored by Grubhub. With more than 3,000 store locations, Grubhub offers on-demand convenience delivery across the country. You can search for restaurants by cuisine or location, quickly order food from the menu, and track your order from the app. All hassle-free and without any extra charges. Grubhub charges less than other food delivery services, allowing you to get the best value for your money. With Grubhub Plus, you can get free delivery prices for 10 meals every month on orders of $12 or more for only $9.99 a month. That's not all. You can use the code AFF25 to save 25% off your first mobile order of $15 or more. This code is for a limited time, so again, get 25% off your first mobile order of $15 or more now if you use code AFF25. Check the link in the description. Thank you again to Grubhub for sponsoring this video. First time you've ever threatened to pick a fight with someone, you overgrown gecko. Afraid I'm gonna steal your spot as number one here? Can't say I blame ya. The ash blonde chuckled as he cracked his knuckles, climbing up onto Midoriya's table in the cafeteria. Getting onto eye level with the still-seated Dino Quirk user, Bakugo let out a laugh seeing the nearby teachers were too afraid of both him and Midoriya to even intervene. This was it. This was his time to show Midoriya that he was on his level and not some extra. Bakugo kicked the Grenette's food tray up into the air and used an explosion to blast it into his face, covering the Skell teenager in his raw meat and fish. Show me what you got, reptile! Midoriya roared out and jumped to all fours on the table as Bakugo jumped towards, dodging the attempt to pin him to the table and beat him to a pulp. The explosive teen had to admit his foe was a lot faster than anticipated, especially since he practically sleeps or seems to sleep through every class. Although, when the explosive teen began thinking about it, a thought came to him, that Midoriya does seem to ace nearly every test without the use of intimidation. I'll give you something, Bakugo. You got guts being the first person to ever challenge my role as number one, but you definitely haven't got brains picking this fight before I've eaten my meal. Want to find out why? The massive dinosaur teen of Aldera Junior High smirked, showing his row of sharp fangs, some slightly stained with blood from his raw beef. Gradually, the boy's eyes grew more diluted. These were the eyes of a predator, who had its prey in its sights, and had nothing but the hunt on its mind. Since you spoil what the school gives me for lunch, I gotta find a replacement. I think you'll do nicely. I imagine with all the explosions and stuff, you'll taste like a good chicken curry. Moving at immense speeds, Midoriya slammed a fist into Bakugo's stomach, then proceeded to grapple him by the back of his shirt collar. As the monstrous teen got ready to lift his challenger over his head and throw him into the ground, Midoriya felt a hand grasp onto his own neck, then another onto his sail along his back. Soon, 2 explosions blasted the massive teen, causing him to roar out and drop Bakugo to the ground. The two boys clashed over and over, Midoriya using his increased strength, speed, and size to assault Bakugo, whilst the explosive attacker fought back with equal ferocity, using his explosive quirk. Every time the fight seemed to be going in the favor of one of the boys, it had changed at the last second. Bakugo's explosions rang out through the cafeteria. Midoriya sliced at his opponent with his claws, or attempted to strike him using his tail. However, this fight could not last forever. The Jurassic teen managed to use his enhanced speed and strength to finally grasp his ash-blonde combatant by the neck and lift him off the ground. Bakugo braced himself, as Midoriya flashed his razor-sharp teeth and began opening his massive jaw wide. Unexpectedly, Midoriya dropped Bakugo on his rear and laughed at the bombastic teenager. I had you going there, Bakugo. Bet you really thought I was gonna eat you or something, huh? Holy cow, that was amazing. I gotta give you mad respect for that little fight there. You certainly have the bite to back up your bark. Tell you what, Bakugo. You ever want to train or spar sometime? After school, meet me out front. I want to see what you're made of. So we'll be heading to where I like to train. I'm gonna test you completely if you can sit at my table without starting a fight. Jaws hit the floor as Midoriya left the cafeteria, teacher and student alike. Somebody got Izuku Midoriya, the Izuku Midoriya, to not just properly talk to them, but to acknowledge them as a potential equal. Katsuki spent the rest of the day in class, secretly afraid that this new acknowledgement from Midoriya might just be the end of him. Or so he thought. Bakugo swallowed his fear and followed the dinosaur through a woodland trail until stumbling across a handcrafted or claw-crafted gymnasium in the middle of the clearing. But the 2 teens were not alone. 2 others were at the clearing practicing using the custom-made equipment. Both were males of around the same age as Midoriya and Bakugo. The prehistoric teen called out to them with a powerful and yet friendly tone. Well. Choji and Shishida, trying to get stronger without your pack leader? Better not be trying to challenge me for alpha status. Especially not today, since we got us a newbie. Izuku pushed Bakugo further into the clearing, filled with practically Stone Age variations on gym equipment. The one Midoriya addressed to Shoji was first to approach, offering a handshake from an arm that seemed to have the capability to split up, almost like tendrils.
Hey, so how did you get Deku to recognize you? He recognized my strength when I beat him in an arm wrestling competition. I still stand undefeated in arm wrestling when it comes to these two. Plus, he was like the only person who saw me without my mask and didn't care, besides my family, so yeah, that was a first.
Shoji spoke using his dupla arms quirk, waiting to hear the story of how Bakugo earned izuku, or as he seemed to call him, Deku's respect. The other guy sauntered over too, eager to hear the story for himself as well. This Shishida guy was covered in hair. He was like a brown-haired yeti.
Yeah, how did Deku come to respect you? And if you're wondering about his nickname, trust me, let me tell you it's a grisly story that only he can tell for maximum effect.
Shishida chuckled slightly as he talked, whilst throwing a massive stone dumbbell to the side. Midoriya just rolled his reptilian eyes at being called Deku by these two friends of his.
I challenged him to a fight. Not much else to it. And we kinda ended in a draw, maybe. I bet I could've pulled a fast one on him quick and won.
Bakugo grumbled, not wanting to admit that he lost to someone nicknamed Deku. But he had a slight feeling it wasn't to tease him or call him useless.
Huh. You actually went all in and fought with the big guy? Deku holds nothing back when we spar here, so the fact he's brought you here likely means… He wants to see if you can fight us in one-on-one fights. Right, Deku?
Giving a massive toothy grin, Deku gave a nod at the masked teen who almost matched Midoriya's height.
You know, Shoj, you don't have to wear that mask when we're here. I know you wear it outside because you don't want to make people uncomfortable, but here in the den, you can be you. I don't care about looks and stuff. I'm sure Bakugo here will be fine with it. And Shida's cool. Surely you've known each other long enough, right?
Deku spoke in a carefree tone that Katsuki had never heard before from the Dino teen. Whilst Deku entered a nearby cave and came out no longer wearing a school uniform or carrying his bag around, but just wearing a large pair of baggy shorts.
Now then, Katsuki Bakugo, let's see what you got. Now I'm not going to ask you to fight Choj or Shida just yet, but I want to see what you can really do with that explosion quirk. Don't insult my intelligence, by the way. I could tell you were holding back in the cafeteria, but so was I. So show us what that quirk can really do.
The trio watched as Bakugo destroyed stone-carved dummy after stone-carved dummy. They even observed him pushing himself by increasing the size of their personal clearing by felling trees with his explosions. Now this would normally be all well and good, but when sounds of destruction ring out, it attracts unwanted attention. Or that's what you'd expect. For crying out loud, Deku, another one? He's even louder than you. Still, from the looks of the destruction, he's got some serious ass-kicking potential. Just try not to attract any pros who aren't cool with you guys training out here. I can't cover your asses forever, you know. A female voice shouted out, leaning near the cave inside the woodland clearing. Her features were rabbit-like, and she had a slightly impressed grin across her face. Mirko was probably one of the only two heroes that Izuku knew of that were okay with him training in the woods after school. Was Izuku's mother aware of his after-school routine? Yes and no. Hinko thought her son was attending a regular gym, not some outdoor handmade dino den where Izuku could really let loose.
Whoa, slow down! You know Mirko?
Bakugo practically shouted in Deku's face, much to the Skell teenager's displeasure, which he made very clear with a blood-curdling growl.
Duh! She saw me in an alleyway beating the living snot out of some dumbass who didn't see me, but also was trying to mug my mom. She was gonna jump in and save us from the thug, but ended up saving him from me. It's how I earned my nickname, actually. I broke both his arms and legs. I think the thug is still in intensive care, but Mirko made sure he can't sue for assault or anything. Plus, she was cool enough to show me this badass place near her log cabin out in the woods, so I can train for UA just an earshot of her. Guess the explosions really caught her height and hearing. Sorry, Mirko.
Deku laughed as he scratched the back of his skull-covered neck with his claws, as the rabbit hero slightly scowled at him, but eventually relented and gave him a punch in the shoulder with a smirk. Just don't make me go deaf with your new friend's quirk and shouting. Sorry. Pack member. I keep forgetting you have that weird thing about calling people you see as worthy opponents pack members, since they can actually challenge you and give you a run for your money. Anyway, I'm heading back to my cabin. You kids should probably pack up and ditch before he gets here. Otherwise, Deku is going to lose it. Mirko pointed the boys into the mouth of the cave so they could get changed and leave the area, which they proceeded to do.
What did Mirko mean when she said, he gets here? Is there some pro hero we need to know about Deku? Because if you got beef with them, then we all got beef with them. That's how the pack works, right?
She should have elbowed Midoriya, only to get a sigh and a low-pitched mumble of a name, but none of the boys could really hear it.
Come again?
Damn it, I said Gang Orca. I hate that stupid fish, and that fish hates me too. But I can't prove it. I swear anytime he can try and get me in trouble, he will. I'm gonna be the apex predator of the waters, so when I graduate UA, he better watch his back. The massive scale team practically roared this out at his pack members, before sighing and shaking his head at them. Sorry. It's just the Gang Orca really pisses me off. Probably my quirk is affecting my mentality, since I eat fish as my favorite dish, and he's a massive fish technically. Great. Now I'm hungry. Can we go grab a bite on the way home? The pack crawled into a place where they could grab a quick bite to eat, and split so they could head to their respective homes. Seeing as it was apparently Shishida's turn to pick where to eat after training, they ended up eating at a cheap ramen place. Not that any of them had much to complain about. Midoriya was pleased that he could order just the beef raw on its own in his ramen bowl, and given his massive appetite, the others basically gave over their leftovers to Deku, and he was more than happy to scarf down their beef ramen. During their meals, the conversation came up about UA. Turns out they'd all been aiming for UA, and since the entrance exams wasn't too far off, it was a no-brainer that the pack would help each other out. And of course, if they wanted to ensure their quirks and physical strength was at its peak, it seemed that Deku had to ask a favor from Mirko. When he came back, he didn't look too pleased with whatever deal the Rabbit Hero and Dino Teen had agreed upon. Mirko, however, had the biggest smirk on her face known to man. The reason, or reasons, why soon became known to the 4 teenagers, causing Deku to roll his eyes. Why Mirko? Why did you have to invite these two? Then again, one was kinda an enemy of my enemy for the Jurassic teenager. Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, I'd like to say if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has you covered. Our We the Celestials My Hero Academia and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, I'd like to extend an invitation to join the team. The only caveat is that we only accept members from age 16 or older to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching and have a great day.